Hey everyone, we thought we'd end the year with something a little different. Normally when we make an episode, we start with a topic and backfill it with games that help us discuss it. Sometimes a new game will force a new topic to the front of the line, but most likely any brand new game we love has to wait a while to show up in a video. Not today. We're speeding up that process. We're doing Design Docs, a lot of games of the year 2024. They're all exactly, equally Game of the Year. This is kinda like a Game of the Year roundup that most gaming media outlets do, but we aren't going for near their level of completeness. We've skipped over plenty of the big releases this year. Sorry FF7. So this won't be directly comparable. These are just a bunch of games big and small that we liked a lot that we think would be worth your time, and our pitch for why they're cool. There's a good chance that some of these games will be new to you, and I bet a couple will catch your eye. So let me pitch you on my 18 games of the year, brought to you by today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare has more class than the floor of Monte Carlo. It's the largest online learning community for creatives. If there's a hobby you've been curious about, Skillshare can hook you up with what you need to know. Illustration, graphic design, creative writing, photography, music, marketing, business skills, productivity, and way more. Each class is taught by industry professionals, with lessons ranging from beginner to advanced. I've been itching to jump into a new hobby lately. Replace doom scrolling with something else. I picked music composition. If Toby Fox can do it, I think I could too. I'm gonna try at least. Besides, I'm having a lot of fun with it. You get unlimited access to the whole thing with your membership, so you can jump around and find out what exactly suits you this winter. New Year's is coming up, and Skillshare is a great way to get a jump start on your resolutions for personal growth. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. Thanks, Skillshare. Okay, first up is my speedrunning game of the year, Sonic Cross Shadow Generations. The new Shadow Generations campaign is straight up one of the all-time best Sonic games, period. I should know, I've played them all. Except Free Riders, and Sonic Blast on the Game Gear. But do those really count? I don't think so. This game is an excellent blend of a couple of the series' lineages, mixing the speed of sound feel of games like Sonic Unleashed with the better platforming precision of the Sonic Adventure style in the same game. Sonic Frontiers started down this path, but Shadow Generations might be perfecting it. Combine that with the new Doom and Chaos control powers that let Shadow take more efficient routes in more interesting ways, and that gives the game the most fun movement I think the series has ever had. It's actually hard for me to go back to Sonic Generations after this. I hope this is the shape of what's to come going forward, but you never know. What's really got me hooked though are the speedrunning features. After getting goaded by a friend of mine into submitting leaderboard times, I've been locked in a speedrunning arms race with him for weeks. Once I figured out the tech for spear gliding, that let me cut severals of seconds off of runs. Tevi and I keep one-upping each other and improving our records. Chaos Control lets you stop the timer, but it requires energy from enemies, which opens up more strategic paths to cut even more time if you get the route down just right. It's got that same fun to speedrun design that Neon White has. The level designs let you take tons of different paths to the end, and the more fun moveset makes each of them feel like a challenge and an achievement once you find a new route. If you've ever loved a Sonic game before, for any reason, this one is worth giving a chance. Plus you get the full remaster of Sonic Generations in the same package for free. What a deal. You know, Shadow's got the attitude, but he doesn't quite have the vibes. Unlike my vibes speedrunning game of the year, Phantom Spark. Phantom Spark is pure arcade racing. It's really minimalistic. All you do is steer, accelerate, and brake. No power-ups, no crazy drifting, nothing but you and the track and the other car ship things. It might sound a little underwhelming, but this game gets a lot out of very little. Its core is simple time trial ghost racing, where you're competing with NPCs and your pass runs to shave down seconds. This, combined with the lo-fi futuristic aesthetic and soundtrack, make it a very meditative game. Once you get going, you can enter that zen-like flow state really easily. as you try to perfect your racing lines with great precision and well-timed braking. The color palettes and character design remind me a lot of C2C's Delta music video, which is like one of my favorite aesthetics, so that's pretty cool. If you like time trials and want a vibes game, this is for you. If you want more beach vibes, try the Beach Vibes Game of the Year, Isles of Sea and Sky. Do you like the Game Boy Color era of Zelda and Sokoban block pushing puzzles? I got this after seeing Mark Brown sing its praises a few months ago, and I fell in love immediately. It's hammering that Chrono Cross aesthetic button in my brain, especially with the world map theme, Turtle Rider. This is a free-form puzzle game, less stage-based than most, where you're pushing blocks as you explore elemental islands, collect keys, gems, and stars, and unlock areas to reveal more of the island's secrets. The game has an excellent mechanical ramp, slowly introducing and teaching new mechanics. The puzzles are tough. I kept thinking, oh, I got it, only to realize I'd forgotten an important step and was sent back to the drawing board. This happens over and over until something eventually clicks, but that cycle's great. The puzzles aren't monotonous, with a nice variation in challenge and scale. It's not just complicated block pushing all the way through. Environmental puzzles can span entire islands, rewarding your observational skills. Unfolding each major mystery is very satisfying, both when you discover it, and then again when you solve it. The Metroidvania bit tangles the game a little, where you might not know whether you are capable of solving a puzzle right when you find it with the mechanics you have. But even so, the game is more than good enough to be worth taking the trip. Now, if you want hard puzzles, try my way harder puzzles but also a rewarding unfolding box of mystery with a 5-word title, Game of the Year, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. I do love an escape room, but I've thought for a while that video game escape room style experiences can be a little underwhelming. Maybe it was too many easy puzzles, or too many obvious clues, or too abstract of a theme, but they weren't hitting me very hard. There should be a game that's like a hard escape room. Then Simogo did it grander than I've ever seen. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is a carefully built puzzle box full of style. This creepy mansion is full of ghosts, secrets, and 1,000 locked doors. The game doesn't explicitly walk you through puzzle to puzzle, it just puts all the pieces out for you to browse, and you can put them all together as you figure out what they are and what they're helping you solve. The house unlocks and unfolds, with tons of environmental storytelling along the way about the movie director owner of this mansion hotel. It's extremely chill, and if not for one glaring menu navigation problem, I'd call this one a perfect 10 out of 10 puzzle game. Just put in an exit button, Simogo. Come on, just one quick fix. As it is, if you like Myst-era adventure puzzle design, this one's absolutely worth playing. Lorelei did lose a category though, Protag Sunglasses Game of the Year. That goes to Tactical Breach Wizards. Lots of my favorite games have a unique high concept, and Tactical Breach Wizards checks that box for sure. It's a tactics game, wrapped in a police procedural, wrapped in an urban fantasy world where teams of wizards that function as a combo of a SWAT team and the Marines use magic to breach buildings, tactically take out bad guys, and predict the future. Your team has an arsenal of magic powers, and should use them to set traps and blast people out of windows. Every opponent behaves in 100% predictable ways, so the process on each level becomes figuring out how to combine all your character's attacks at max efficiency, so you never get hit yourself. One of your main characters is a time wizard, so you get the power to see events before committing, and rewind the fight as much as you want to set it all up perfectly. This is a lot like Into the Breach, but more expansive, and with much more of a narrative to tell. The game's story is really fun. It's pretty much a full-on parody of an 80s cop drama, but it's not taking itself seriously at all. It's worth a look just for its unique combination of tone and tactics, but it has more than enough tactical depth for you to sink your teeth into. If you're looking for another game to push that Into the Breach idea a little further, check this out. My Shenanigans Game of the Year is Tiny Terry's Turbo Trip. Quadruple T is kind of like mixing a short hike, The Simpsons Hit and Run, and Homestar Runner into one short goofy game. You're Terry, and you want to go to space in your impossibly tiny taxicab. They already built the space highway, so Terry's goal isn't delusional. It's right there. Your cab sucks though, for now. It's a collectathon, where you're driving around an island town gathering literal junk so you can power up your car's turbo engine and blast onto the space highway. Upgrading your car works a lot like the feathers in a short hike, where you're just trying to improve your mobility to make it easier to boost up the highway. The game's really about the characters though. It's filled with charming little side quests, like helping this beach food stand guy come up with a new hit food, or checking in on this jerk getting a tan, or selling stolen cars to your neighbor. It's a low-key, mess-around experience with lots of secrets and a goofy sense of humor. And bumper car battles. What's not to love? Now, on the opposite end of shenanigans, my way too intense game of the year is Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom. Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom is an unhinged platformer, but maybe only the second best car-themed 3D collectathon platformer of the year. You and your wind-up taxi go around weird levels collecting these green gears for progression. Your helper is off-brand Mario, Morio, and you're fighting an off-brand Tesla, Tosla. The whole thing has the vibe of a fever dream, with flashing neon, super energetic music, and lots of weird, crude humor. The gameplay is interesting, another one of those platformers with no traditional jump button. Your taxi has a tight turning radius, and you've got a few abilities to get around, with a powerful dash, a short hop, a super boost, and a larger hop kinda like Mario 64's backwards somersault. The controls are super unorthodox, but I think that's the main appeal. You can do some crazy tricks with this moveset, and I think speedrunners can have a lot of fun with this thing once they get a handle on it. This game has a lot of levels to explore, and of course, since you're a taxi, a lot of crazy taxi homages too, with passengers to ferry around in a time limit. It's weird, it's not for everyone, but it might be for you. There's a demo available now, so check it out. Green gears are fine, I guess, but what if they were dressed as beloved characters from your past? Best Most Collectibles Game of the Year goes to Astro Bot. Astro Bot is fantastic. It's an unbelievably polished platformer, and fun the whole way through. It's on the level of a mainline Mario game, but I think the best parts are its collectibles. It's nice to have a game that knows how to make a smooth and satisfying completionist experience. It's not that common. Astro Bot has over 300 bots to rescue, and they're some of the most satisfying collectibles I've ever seen. Each stage has around 5 to 10 of them to find. About half are nothing special, but the other half are dressed as characters from the PlayStation back catalog. These are some deep cuts too. The Incredible Crisis Guy, Devil Dice, Intelligent Cube. No Eggs of Steel though, someone dropped the ball there. The hub is extra fun to come back to, as all your little guys are hanging out and messing around. You can even use the coins you've earned to buy them accessories, with even more deep cut references. I'm not sure how Ulala is a PlayStation character, but whatever. These cameos are perfect breadcrumb trails to the end, intrinsically rewarding every time you get one, and great at keeping the excitement up as you wonder who will show up next. It's great in the same way the trophy galleries in Smash Bros have been great. A fun reminder of Sony's history for a company that could use more of that. Now let's get Sega to let someone do a new Monkey Ball. Oh wait, they did. It's the Monkey Ball Game of the Year, Banana Rumble. This is one of those games I always hoped for but never expected. An amazing return to form for a series that lost its way years ago. Banana Slamma is the real Super Monkey Ball 3. Banana Mania was a solid remake of the first two, but Rumble is a true sequel. All new levels, tons of tough stages, properly using the modern Monkey Ball physics engine, and there's new tech. The Spin Dash is a perfect addition that gives you a whole new dimension to use, drifting around turns, braking hard, or gaining a burst of speed to dash past gaps. The levels are about as good as they were in 2, and the extra missions do give you a real challenge to master the physics engine and the Spin Dash to find the right route. On top of all that, you get lots of cosmetics to unlock, and multiplayer's there too. It's fine, but the single player is borderline perfect. It's what you wanted in the return of Monkey Ball. My spatial awareness game of the year is Backpack Battles. Do you want to make the Resident Evil 4 attaché case a full-on game, where you fight other people in asynchronous battles to see whose backpack has the right stuff in the right places to come out victorious? Where putting this potion not here, but here, can be the difference between life and death? Backpack Battles is a very unusual auto-battling combat puzzler, where you build yourself up through a roguelike style shop system, unlocking tons of combos and secret synergies with the items you hold, and fight increasingly tough enemies until you lose a few times. These fights are very tough to parse while they're happening, but the game also gives you tools so you can watch a replay and slow it down to study exactly what's going on. It's an engine building game in a quirky format, and is complex in a way you might not expect from how it looks, and I think you know right away if this game's for you. Spiritual successors of neglected games are all the rage in the indie scene, but it's kinda rare to get one from a big studio. This year, Vanillaware brought Ogre Battle back from the dead with Unicorn Overlord. Our Mike actually beat a game this year game of the year. Unicorn Overlord is a tactical RPG, but it's not the usual grid-based fare you find in most of those. You're in charge of a bunch of story characters. You get a new one, or 3, on almost every map. Each has their own class, inventory, skills, and whatnot, but they don't fight alone. You have to put these characters into a coherent squad, where the team can accentuate the characters' positives and positate the negatives. You send them out under your banner to fight enemy squads and free this country from evil mixed super evil. Your squads will have to physically bump into the enemy squads to fight, and the movement and positioning plays a major role in keeping enemies out of important places like forts and bridges. It's a unique game type. It's complex. It can get super deep if you want it to be, but it's a style of game without many other comparables, except for Ogre Battle, and the last Ogre Battle was ages ago. The style wasn't overdone, or too simple, or too old. It was just lost to time, waiting for someone to find it on a dusty shelf and clean it up. Vanillaware took what was great about Ogre Battle and mixed it with mechanical influences from games like Final Fantasy XII and Fire Emblem, and let this new package find a new audience. They put their studio on the line for a passion project, a 10-year love letter to the old tactical RPGs the devs grew up with, and thanks to a commitment of polish, the studio's gorgeous art style, and their willingness to put in the work, they've brought a whole type of game back to life. Vanillaware swung for the fences and connected. Like Pablo Sanchez in Game of the Year 2024, Backyard Baseball 97. Alright, we're stretching the definition of release this year a bit, but it's been a long time since Backyard Baseball was easy to play on a modern PC. This one's from the same studio that did all the kid-friendly late 90s adventure games like Putt Putt and Freddy Fish that I also loved growing up. It's shocking how well this game actually holds up. Each kid has a distinct personality. The game is absolutely loaded with hand-drawn animation, custom walk-ups for every player, lots of unique voice lines for each kid, all of the different fields have their own quirks, and all of the animation still looks really good for being created for a 25-year-old kid's game. This isn't a game done on the cheap. The devs put a lot of work in to make this a surprisingly deep game for what it's trying to be. The baseball is very arcade focused, but there's plenty of fun to pick up on a casual playthrough. The game has lots of fun secrets to find, and lots of real baseball strategy to discover. If you're a parent, this is a great game to play together with your kid, and is a great way to introduce them to the game of baseball if they're just starting to get interested in it. And they re-released the soccer one too, if that's more your personal nostalgic anchor. Same praise applies. We're going from a real 90s throwback to more of a 90s enthusiast? That's right, it's the feels bad game of the year, Mouthwashing. Are you in the mood for psychological horror on a stranded spaceship? It's a tight couple hours of an experience, weaving back and forth in time, exploring the psychological disaster unfolding on the Topar. Play through set piece after set piece with some great art direction with a PS1 demake flavor. It's not quite a movie, but it is movie-like, and you can treat it like one. Mouthwashing is a demanding game, with challenging subject matter and a story told with nuance, foreshadowing, symbolism, and misdirection. It's full of detail to absorb on repeat playthroughs. The character development is outstanding, and this game would not hold up if it wasn't written this well. It's not breezy stuff. It's not for kids. But if you want a serious psychological horror that you can complete in an afternoon, you can't do better this year. Mouthwashing will surprise you. And now, the smallest data footprint game of the year, Animal Well. Seriously, this thing is tiny. This has my favorite atmosphere in a Metroidvania since Hollow Knight. This well of animals keeps that balance of eerie, mystical, and beautiful throughout the whole game. You know how in Super Metroid there were a couple rooms with some weird, non-hostile animals you could find and interact with to do some optional stuff or get a new technique? This is if the whole game was that. To solve most puzzles, you get the animals to do your bidding. It's an open-ended game, with no set order for obtaining all your tools to travel around. Yo-yos, bubble wands, or the frisbee. You get access to all these new toys plus more, but you have to figure out all the ways you can use them. And it's going to take you a bit. The game's level design is great at pushing players to experiment with different possibilities and to try to discover these secret functions. It's short but sweet, minus the ghost dog, and a great game to talk over with your friends. And now, the second best yo-yo of the year, Penny's Big Breakaway. Okay, I didn't feel it until editing this video, but 2024 was a really good year for 3D platformers. I was keeping an eye on this one after several of the Sonic Mania developers had formed their own studio, Evening Star, and I couldn't wait for this. Their first project. Penny's Big Breakaway is more movement focused than the team's Sonic pedigree would make you expect. It's an excellent 3D platformer with great momentum, a cool combo system that reminds me of Tony Hawk, and a bouncy soundtrack headed by T. Lopes. And the UI looks really nice. I love these little penguin guys. This game's got charm and a high skill ceiling, but you're gonna have to be into the game's style. There are issues with the levels being a bit samey and a bit glitchy, and the bosses aren't amazing, but the movement feels so good that I can overlook a lot. Using your magic yo-yo to chain together maneuvers like swinging, dashing, or riding down slopes feels amazing when you get it down. Man, this movement's good. I bet Evening Star's next game will be killer. Minishoot Adventures is two great games that work great together. The Reese's Peanut Butter Cup game of the year. It's a classic Zelda and Metroidvania combo. Boy, there's a lot of those lately actually. But how many are also a twin-stick shooter? It's not wildly inventive for the genre, other than the combo, but it more than makes up for that in polish. And I mean, just look at this. Very nice, very pleasant. Your ship is fast and nimble from the start, and every shot has a satisfying ping whenever they hit. The character progression is a constant ramp as you level up your ship. Once the difficulty ramps up, it veers into bullet hell, but it's more bullet heck. It doesn't go too far. And yes, there are dungeons, and exploration, and a Metroidvania structure. If watching this is doing anything for you, I think you'll have a good time. Now, our Oops, I Have to Finish This in January game of the year is Metaphor ReFantazio. I have not finished it yet. It's good. I've got more thoughts over in this video. I'm running out of time to finish editing this before the end of the year, so moving on. Speaking of losing track of time, you ever feel like you're trapped in Reno, awake for 40 hours straight, hallucinating, and chained to a video poker machine at 3 a.m.? That's Balatro. I've never gotten in on the ground floor of a smash hit indie game earlier than I did with this one. It was a little Steam Next Fest demo thing late last year that I found out from a friend, and now it's exploded. Top of the app stores, awards from every corner of gaming media, a little genre of its own. You know what Balatro is. You don't need a full rundown at this point, but if you haven't tried it yet, go do that. What gets me every time is Balatro's soundtrack. What a loop. What a vibe. Louis F. took a Fiverr project and earned his way into the pantheon of game music composers with a single song and 4 variations. How is that possible? Balatro is the game of the year of the year. And that's the year. So many games of the year. That's gotta be a new record. Anyway, go check them out. I hope you spotted one you hadn't heard of, and I hope you like it. Head to the comments and tell everyone about your personal secret faves from this year. There are so many games out now that it's helpful to flag down the hidden gems. We're gonna take a week off, then be back in the new year for more normal analysis episodes. I think we've got another boss video brewing next. Thanks for watching and being a fan of the channel, and here's to making the most out of the year ahead. Happy New Year!